Hello, Penguins fans. Happy late Thursday. This is coming at you guys just after the Penguins 6-4 win over the Minnesota Wild. And yes, we are talking about a win for the Penguins. They've won 3 of their last 5 games at this point. They got 2 massive points in the standings tonight. We're going to go into everything that happened in this 6-4 win over the Wild for this episode, how the Penguins got contributions from everyone in the forward group, how the defense was cleaned up, I think, at times, how Tristan Jarry still has a ways to go, how the penalty kill continues to be a lot better. All that plus so much more coming up for today's episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast.
You're Locked On Penguins, your daily podcast on the Pittsburgh Penguins, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I'm your host, Hunter Hodes. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Hunter Hodes. You can also follow the show's Twitter at @LORScorePenguins. And of course, thank you all so much for making this your first listen of the day. Penguins 6, Wild 4. The Penguins, as I said in my intro, get their 3rd win in their last 5 games. A massive win for this team. It cannot be understated just how big of a win this is for the Penguins. You go up 2-0. Going into the first intermission, the Wild come back, get 2 goals in 12 seconds to tie it. Looks like the wheels are going to fall off. You get a goal late in the second to make it 3-2. You make it 4-2. Minnesota comes back again, and then Brock McGinn's able to really just put the game away for good when he makes it 5-3. Then they get the empty netter from Jake. They bent in this game, but they didn't break. I think that's probably the best way to describe the Penguins in this one. They bent. They gave up those quick goals in the second period, but they did not break, and they were able to find their game again and get this win against a Wild team that's really been struggling to score. Some injuries have definitely not helped them, but, that's a Wild team that's fragile right now. They're, I believe, 2-5-1 at home this season. They're not playing good hockey at all. So the Penguins, they were able to pounce on that team that's been struggling in a lot of facets of their game, and they were able to grind out a win. And I think the biggest thing that I want to touch on for this first segment, again, just contributions from everyone in the lineup. We haven't said that a lot this season, but, in their win against Toronto, for example, that had contributions from everyone as well. Brock McGinn got the game-winning goal. In this one, you had a couple goals from the bottom 6. Ryan Poehling, who, I'll say it, I've been kind of down on him at times this season. I'll eat some crow on him tonight. You all know me that listen to this show. I will always eat crow when a player that I've not been that high on proves me wrong. He did so tonight. Really nice goal that he had. I believe that was his 3rd of the season. Brock, again, he continues his ridiculously great hot streak. He now has 5 goals on the season, his 4th in his last 5 to 6 games. He's actually top 5, top 6 on the team in goals right now, outside of Sidney Crosby, Jake Guentzel, Evgeny Malkin, Jason Zucker, and Ricard Raquel. Brock McGinn leads the team in goals. He's 6th on the team. He's been that good. And yeah, Philip Gustafsson kind of gave him that goal. Let's be real. I think that shot does not go in on 90% of other NHL goaltenders. Just a really weird goal to allow. He kind of gave that back after Tristan Jarry didn't play that well. But you take it, and that's 2 big bottom 6 goals from this team tonight. You need goals from your bottom 6 when the top 6 is not playing well, and they surely got that tonight. So I was really happy with that. Sidney Crosby, he gets 2 goals tonight. He was fantastic all game. I wouldn't really say I'm going at him. I've just been commenting that he's not in his game right now. And of course, I know he's going to pull through. It's Sidney Crosby here, people. The second you start to doubt him, you just look foolish. And I was never doubting him, of course. I was just saying, hey, not playing the way he used to be. But, he said he does have goals, and he has 3 goals in his last 2 games, was a man on a mission tonight. I definitely do think that, putting Raquel up there with Crosby and Guentzel really energized Sid. And I think you could see that right from the opening drop. The first goal happens just a few minutes into the first period. It's like, well, guess the line change worked, folks. Just a really ridiculous shot from Sid to beat Gustafsson there. And just the release on that was awesome. And, you can tell in that kind of moment, he wasn't overthinking it. Sometimes in a situation when he's just in a little bit of a rut, he'll try to force a pass. But in that one, he's like, you know what? I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to fire it past Gustafsson. And that's exactly what he did. And I want to see more of that from him going forward. So I thought he was outstanding tonight. Jake Guentzel, he's basically Mr. Empty Netter at this point. Whenever the Penguins need an empty net goal, you throw him on the ice. He will basically get it from anywhere. Really nice job from Jake. Just overall, he also had that great pass to Crosby, the one that made it 4-2 in the third period. I don't even know how Guentzel got that pass across. I have watched that replay like 6-7 times at this point. I still cannot just fathom how that pass got through. Like, he threaded that so beautifully. Sid was able to get his stick on it and get just enough on it to get the puck past Gustafsson. Really nice goal on that. I believe that was a power play goal. Before, the unit was not looking that good. I know they had the 5-on-3 goal with Kris Letang, which I'll get to in a second. But, even though the power play looked disorganized for a lot of the evening, there were still two really nice plays on it, one of which being the Crosby to Guentzel goal to make it 4-2 to get them a little bit of insurance. So, the top line led the way for the first time since Nam. The Evgeny Malkin line was great again. And then the bottom six was also really solid. Defensively, Kris Letang, he gets his first of the season. Really nice to see him bomb it from the point. He needs to keep doing that if he wants to get his game, back on track. For the first 10 to 12 games of the season, wasn't really doing much on the power play or even at 5v5 from the point. It just looked like he was always a step slow, a bit hesitant. But these last few games, you're seeing him really rip the puck from that center point area. This game, he came down a little bit, got that goal, really nice pass from Crosby and Malkin to get it to Letang, and he beat Gustafsson to the left side of the net. Really nice shot from Tanger. I hope everyone chronicled that one. This was probably his best game in, I would say, over a week, to be honest. I thought he was sound defensively, thought he made good decisions with the puck when it was on his stick. That's the Kris Letang that I want to see more of, and, the version of him that we've seen, for the last 15 plus years at this point. So thought he played well. Brian Dumoulin, I wouldn't say he's turning it around, but he's playing a little bit better. Jeff Petrie, honestly, I think all the defensemen played well. I'm going to talk about P.O. Joseph a little bit in the next segment. But again, just a really solid overall team win tonight for Pittsburgh. You look at the metrics, the Penguins scoring chances, they were close to even. Shot attempts were close to even. Expected goals close to even as well. High danger, but the Penguins did leave in high danger 7-5 in that area. You go to all situations, the Penguins led by a landslide in shot attempts at 55%. They led in scoring chances about 51%, high danger 63%, expected goals 61.5%. So at 5v5, it was a bit of a closer game, but if you go to all situations, special teams and everything, the Penguins blew this team off the ice. The only reason it was a 6-4 game was because Tristan Jarry did not play well, and I will get to that a little later on in this episode. But overall, I just want to compliment basically the entire team for this win. They needed it badly. They got embarrassed against the Maple Leafs, I thought, on Tuesday. They let that lead slip away against the Canadiens on Saturday, a game that I think they easily could have won if they were able to just hold that lead with about 5-6 minutes left. They're also not able to do that. But this is a team right now. They've gotten points, in 4 of their last 5 games. I know it may seem a little weird that they've won 3 of their last 5 just because they had that 7-game losing streak, but they're starting to get some points again, which that's important. So in their last 5 games, they've gotten 7 out of possible 10 points. That's good. Obviously, you still need it to be a lot better. You need to go on a big winning streak here. Be nice if a 10-11 game one like the New Jersey Devils are on. Probably not going to happen, but the opportunity is there. Two big games coming up this weekend in Winnipeg and Chicago, 2 teams who I don't really think are that good. I know Winnipeg is higher up in the Central Division standings, but I also think that's not going to last. I think a lot of that has to do with Connor Hellebuyck. I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well later. But overall, the metrics were good. I thought this Penguins team blew the Wild off the ice for most of that game. And if Tristan Jarry played a little bit better, I think that was going to be like a 6-2 game or something like that. So really impressed overall the forward group and the defense for a lot of good decision-making with the puck and also defending. I think, I'll go into Tristan Jarry again a little later on. But coming up in my second segment, we are going to get into, a couple of other things regarding this game. And yes, part of that will be about Tristan. We're also going to get into P.O. Joseph and how great he's playing at this point and so much more. But before I do get to that, BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. You can get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. From football to basketball to soccer and esports, we've got it all covered at BetOnline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. You can head to the website today or use your phone to learn more. That is BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, I'm back in this episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I am your host, Hunter Hodes. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Hunter Hodes. You can also follow the show's Twitter at @Penguins. And of course, thank you all so much for making this your first listen of the day. Quick thing here before I get to what I want to talk about in this segment. I know Twitter is kind of on fire right now. I don't know how long this site has. I don't know if this site is going to exist in a week, 2 weeks, a month, a year. I don't know if it's going to get shut down. Who knows? If it does, and you all can't follow me on Twitter anymore, I can plug my Instagram for you all right now, HH_279 if you want to follow me. Most of my pictures are with my girlfriend and I, but I still try to post the episodes on my stories. And if Twitter does cease to exist at some point here in the near future, I'm going to have to start using something else. And I think that's going to have to be something. So again, HH_279 if you want to follow me on Instagram, just because the whole Twitter's just on fire right now with everything that's going on. But okay, start off this segment. Let's start with P.O. Joseph. I don't know if you all noticed this tonight, that beautiful breakup in the third period, 2-on-1 situation. I mean, he just made a flawless play with his stick to break up that pass. He is playing some really, really good hockey right now. This was obviously his first game back tonight after a few games with the injury and stuff. But, he looked pretty solid. I mean, on the ice, close to 50-50 in terms of shot attempts, goals for, goals against. He was on the ice for 2 actual, 1 against expected goals for. Not the best there, but it's fine. 7 scoring chances against, 3 scoring chances for. But defensively, he still made a lot of good plays when the puck was not on his stick to really send the play going the other way. This is a player who I think has really been blossoming as the season has gone on. Again, I didn't really think that highly of him going into the season just because he's been in the system for a while. He's kind of stayed in Wilkes-Barre, but they gave him a shot. They didn't call up Ty Smith. I think part of that has to do with their salary cap situation. And so far, I think POJ is doing a great job in his games. And I'm excited to see more of him as the season goes on. If he continues this level of play and even continues to be a bit better, I think the Penguins will be feeling really good about themselves going into next season when Brian Dumoulin, who I think will likely walk after the season unless Ron Hextall galaxy brains himself and decides to give him a 4x4 contract or something like that. I can't see him doing that. Well, maybe I can, just because he's given some weird comments. Not mean to cuss like that. He's been given some weird contracts ever since he's taken over, coupled with some good contracts. So I wouldn't put it past him, but my opinion, I would not bring Brian Dumoulin back. But if they don't, which I think again would be the right call, I think Penguins should be feeling awfully good about that left side for the foreseeable future with Marcus Pettersson locked up. Ty Smith is down there. He's going to be coming up at some point. POJ. I think that's the makings of a pretty solid left side, unless you want to go out and get someone else in free agency or via trade, but I don't really know if the team wants to do that. And if Petrie turns it around and Kris Letang gets a bit better, then you have that solid right side of him, Petrie and Jan Ruta, and then those 6 going forward. I think that can only be good things for the Penguins. So I thought he looked good in his return tonight. Was really encouraging to see. And I'll also say the same about Teddy Blueger. This is only his second game of the season, but his numbers this season have been fabulous in only 2 games. This is according to Danny Shirey. He tweeted this out of DK Pittsburgh Sports. The 4th line expected goal share in the 2 games since Blueger returned. And on Tuesday, the Penguins had 94.7% of the expected goals when he was on the ice for the 4th line. Tonight, 92.3% of the expected goal share. He is making a big difference since coming back. It's, it's great to have an actual legitimate fourth line center playing well. He should have had a goal tonight that was washed out. Don't know what the heck the NHL officiating was doing there. That Josh Archibald was pushed into the net. The puck goes off Blueger, but they somehow call it goalie interference. I mean, that's incidental contact. That should have been a goal every day of the week, unless I just do not understand hockey anymore. But it's just really weird, in my opinion. But, Blueger, since coming back, he's been great at 5v5. The penalty kill has looked even better since his return. The PK was starting to rebound before he came back, but right now it's even on a bigger heater for sure. So, I really liked, how he played tonight. And, when he was on the ice, the Penguins had about 58% of the shot attempts, 1-1 in actual goals for. Expected goals, though, expected goals for was 79.5 at 5v5 per natural stat trick, 60% of the scoring chances. All situations, it's even better. Yeah, it's even better. It's even better for him. So he's been outstanding in 2 games. This team really missed him. You can see just how much he means to that fourth line when he is on his game. So I appreciate the efforts that he has done in these last couple of games. And is he going to stay at 92% expected goal share? No. I mean, that's going to regress a little bit. But if he can stay at 55, 60%, something like that, I think this team will be, in pretty good shape for that fourth line. He's been playing a lot with Josh Archibald, Ryan Poehling. Brock McGinn's been playing with Jeff Carter and Danton Heinen. So, I like how that fourth line has been going right now since Blueger returned. And, they were getting some good shifts tonight, to say the least. They had some quality scoring chances, each game, each period, it felt like. So, very good job from them. And, even if you look at the underlyings here, 71% of the shot attempts for the fourth line at 5v5, goals for, goals against, 1-0. Again, expected goal share, 92.3, 85% of the scoring chances when that line was on the ice. That it was their best line tonight, and it was not close. The Gensel, Crosby, Raquel line also did some wonders, 57% of the shot attempts at 5v5, expected goals for about 50%, and then scoring chances about 50 as well. And, that beats the Gensel, Crosby, Russ line, to say the least. But, to wrap up the fourth line, this is one, you're not going to see this every game, but if they can just be break even in most of their games, I think the Penguins should be fine moving forward, if you ask me. Those are the main performances that I really liked tonight. I thought Gino, again, was solid. He continues to be steady. Jason Zucker had a good performance. He could have had a couple of goals tonight. Rickard Rakell had that old Brooks Orpik play where it bounced off 2 posts. If y'all recall, during the 2013 playoffs, Game 6 at the Nassau Coliseum, when the puck went in Game 6 after it went off the 2 posts, that Rakell was not able to get that same look, went off both posts, comes out. Red light went on. I thought it was in. I was like, wait, that looked just like the Orpik goal, but sure enough, he did not get the friendly bounce on that one. He just looks like such a natural fit up there. So yeah, I mean, those are the main players that really stood out to me. Again, Sid was awesome as well. If he continues to play like this, I think he's going to lead the Penguins out of this rut, to say the least. To wrap up today's show, we're going to go into a couple of players who I thought struggled tonight and who I'm definitely a little concerned about right now heading into these weekend games in Winnipeg and Chicago. So stick around for that coming up after this commercial break. All right, I'm back here in this episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I am your host, Hunter Hodes. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Hunter Hodes. You can also follow the show's Twitter at @Penguins. And of course, thank you all so much for making this your first listen of the day. So let's get into 2 players that I have who have struggled tonight, but they've also been struggling through like the last week and a half, 2 weeks or so. Number 1, Tristan Jarry. His game is in a total free fall right now. I mean, I don't think it's as bad as the way he played against the Islanders in 2021, but it's still pretty bad right now. You look at his last several starts and he's playing like crap. You go back to the game against Edmonton a few weeks ago, 6 goals against, 4.65 expected goals against, Vancouver, 4 goals against, 3.32 expected goals against, versus Boston, gave up 6, was only on 3.8 expected goals against, so he gave up almost 2 more goals than he should have. Seattle gave up 3, should have given up 2. Montreal, 5 goals against. That was the game, remember, that he said that he was hurt. 3.46 expected goals against. And then tonight gave up 4, 2.48 expected goals against. Just not playing at the level that I think a lot of people expected him to this season, myself included. I am looking like a complete and utter buffoon for my prediction with him this season. If he wants a contract and a long-term contract from this management regime, he's going to need to be a lot better. And the Penguins, they're going to need him to be better if they want to get back into the playoff race. You cannot win with below average goaltending. I don't care how good your top 6 is. I don't care how good your defense is supposed to be. If your starting goaltender is giving up 6 goals, 4 goals, 6 goals, 3 goals, 5 goals, 4 goals, you are not going to win a lot of games in the NHL. It's why you saw Casey DeSmith having a few straight starts. And I was a little surprised that they went to Jarry tonight. I guess that means he's starting to come off his injury a little bit, but he gave up some howlers tonight. That first one that went in, that's a glove save he has to make. The second one looked like he was just taking a nap in the net, wasn't being aggressive at all, was just way too deep in his crease. Didn't bother using his stick to poke check the puck away after that weird sequence to tie it. Heck, even the third goal, I believe that came from Joel Eriksson Ek. Don't know what he's doing there. He's playing way too deep in his crease. That goes 5-hole. He needs to come out and challenge the shooter in that situation. And he's not on his game right now. And it's a problem. It really is. The Penguins, I'll say this. I know they blew the Wild off the ice tonight, but they were lucky that Philip Gustafsson was just as bad, if not worse. He gave up a couple of howlers as well. There's a reason why he's the backup to Marc-Andre Fleury and not starting over Fleury, and you saw that tonight. So it was nice to see the Penguins on the opposite end on one of the bad goaltending games, but it's past time for this team to actually get good goaltending from this tandem. Because, Ron Hextall, he took another big risk. This is the 3rd straight season that they have run this same tandem back to back to back. You got to start getting results. At the end of the day, you gotta. And, that it was a big problem on their 7-game losing streak. They were outplaying teams, but not getting the saves. They got a couple nice wins from Casey DeSmith. Montreal game comes and Jarry doesn't look that good. DeSmith is not the best against the Leafs tonight. Jarry was really lucky that the rest of the skaters he was really lucky that the rest of his skaters bailed him out, because he gave up he gave up a few goals. I would say 3 of those 4 goals he should not have given up. The 4th goal, that game was over at that point, but I think he should have saved those first 3 shots. They were not that easy. They were not that hard. And I think, last year's version of him definitely saved those. So it's going to be something to monitor. He needs to be a lot better and a lot better fast if this team is able to claw out of the rut that, they're still in right now. The other player that I want to discuss, Bryan Rust, he just seems to be fighting it. Don't really know what's going on. Is he battling an injury? Doesn't seem to matter if he's playing with Evgeny Malkin or Sidney Crosby. Just seems to be overthinking it out there. One example that stood out to me tonight, 2-on-1, I believe that was in the second period, comes in. Usually he shoots in those situations, forces a pass, it goes back the other way. It's just like, Brian, you got to rip that. And, on the power play, not doing much of anything. Don't even remember the last time he had a legitimate scoring chance on the main advantage. Just seems to be a complete passenger right now. And that's usually not what we can say about Rust. He's usually one of their more consistent players, someone who's always good for 20 to 25 goals a season, but right now just is not playing well. And it needs to change. You can't keep relying on Crosby and Gensel and Malkin and Zucker to do everything. You're going to need, contributions from someone like Rust. And especially, he also just got a massive contract from the Penguins over the offseason. Heck, he was the first of the big guys to come back. And right now, I will say this, he's not playing up to that deal. Obviously that can change, but he's definitely just seems to be fighting right now. I think he just doesn't have his confidence, seems to be second guessing himself a lot, whether it's in the offensive or defensive zone. Really think he just needs to figure it out. I think those are the two main players that I think are really struggling right now, at least in my view. But that will do it for today's episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. Really appreciate all of you listening to this one. For Friday's episode, I will have a full weekend preview for you all. They'll go to Winnipeg on Saturday, head to Chicago on Sunday before coming home next week. So again, that will do it for this episode. Hope you all enjoyed it. Hope you all enjoyed watching the Penguins get the win. Let me know what you all thought about the game down in the comments on YouTube. You can also send me a DM on any social media platform. And all that, just, let me know. So again, thank you all so much for listening. Hope you all have a great Thursday, and I'll talk with you all again on Friday.